Okay.
Okay, well, hello everybody. Welcome to another wonderful WVU Flute Studio guest artist masterclass series, and I'm extra excited to welcome Patricia Nagle, who I think most of you hopefully know from her beautiful, amazing etude posts on Facebook and all of her supportive comments. She's like, I was just telling her before the class started that she's such a light on Facebook. You know, she brings so much beauty and positivity and light. So, and I'm just making sure everyone's on. And are we good, Dustin? Are we all here? Everybody muted? So, yeah, if you're not speaking, go ahead and be muted so that we can hear the speakers better. So thank you, Patricia, for joining us. And we spent some time together in Paris. Was it not this past summer, but the summer before? That was fun. Yeah. And I was at the École Normale and got to see the beautiful rooms there. And we had like cake and went out for baguettes and bread. And it was so much fun. So
yeah, it was a great time. Really.
Yeah. So for those of you who are visiting, the way we're going to run this class is we have two performers, and we'll do Ethan first and Juan second. And each performer has prepared a video. And so Dustin is going to run the video, perhaps first Dustin without the score, and then when we move into the teaching portion, you can bring up the score. And then Patricia will comment, and then Dustin can move the score up and down to Patricia. If you want him to go to a certain measure, he can scroll for us.
Great, thank you.
And we're going to then move into a discussion about study abroad and building a career abroad, and abroad being not in the United States. If you're already in Slovenia or France or somewhere else, you know, you'll gain from it from a different perspective. And so we'll both talk a little bit, and then we'll take question and answers. Especially, I think that we have questions from the studio about how the system is in France. I think it's really interesting how you run the system with all the levels and the juries at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
to that,
absolutely.
We're hoping to keep Dustin 35 minutes, 40 maybe, 35 for the discussion part. And I told Patricia that you would give her a 5-minute warning. So, and she's also able to stay till 4:15. So the class will run for an hour and 15 minutes total, which leaves us with an hour and 10 minutes plus just an hour and 10 minutes for the discussion and the two performers. So, is that all good, Dustin?
Yeah, how much playing time would you like and discussion time for the performers?
So as long, we'll be posting their entire videos. Ethan, did you just upload one movement, or how long is your video?
It's just the third movement, so like 8 minutes.
Yeah. And Juan, what about you?
I uploaded a full run through, so like 12.
Okay, so Patricia, if you feel like, you know, cutting the video off at 8 minutes or 10 minutes, just kind of wave your hand like this.
Okay, fine, yeah.
And Dustin will stop it, and then you can have more time to speak. Other than that, Dustin, you can run the entire video. And then Juan and Ethan, have your flutes ready, because she'll also work with you a little bit.
Yeah, it's probably best to either send me a chat or just speak to tell me to stop, because I can't see people when I'm sharing full screen.
So Patricia, just say thank you, that's good enough, and then Dustin will hear you, and he'll turn everything.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Great. So thank you, and for those of you who are not part of the studio, welcome to our family. Welcome to our little flute family time here, and we've had a bunch of these this semester. We'll have more next semester, so keep posted. We have a lot of activities, and they're open to the community, and they're free, okay? So keep your eyes peeled. All right, Dustin, thank you.
Hello, my name is Ethan Nylander. I'm a sophomore flute performance major here at West Virginia University. And today, with my pianist Ji Young, I'll be playing the third movement from the Ibert Flute Concerto.
Bravo. Superbe. Ethan, tu es là? Are you there, Ethan?
Yes. Hi.
Okay. Okay, great. That was a great performance. Very impressive.
You.
I'd like to talk about a few things that I noticed that, I would really like to see your embouchure up close. What you're doing here, but I have a strange feeling that maybe, you could look, more out this concerto. I was very surprised. I said, oh, what's going to happen? Because you just jumped in at the last minute. And I was wondering why I thought you were a little bit late. Or at least it seemed to sound late because you breathed at the last minute and you jumped in to play. And for a concerto that's so deep, do you hear me? It's freezing up the internet.
Yeah, you're cutting off.
Okay.
Are you talking about the very beginning?
Yes, the beginning. First of all, you start almost at the last minute, and the sound comes a little bit late with the piano or with the orchestra. Okay, so that you have to be really careful. When you have also this type of when you have a liaison like that, be careful not to slur too much the last note before you tongue the si bémol. El arpe. Because sometimes it gets slurred and the tonguing gets a little bit, it's not very clear. Okay, so that's something that you could look forward to make an improvement on that. Very impressive beginning. It's very, very fast. It's up to tempo, but sometimes you don't always do the nuances. You have pianissimo. Okay, maybe you're in a very moment of excitement, exuberance of playing this concerto. It's a most beautiful concerto. So I think that the way you play, I don't know why you move so much. Why is that?
It's probably just out of habit.
Okay. Because sometimes it makes things, especially the sound, not project. And the sound's going here, the sound's going there. So that is quite difficult to judge, because if you're going to go to concours or competitions, international competitions, and if you play like that, people will think that quite strange, because when you play like that, you can support completely as you would like to, I would suppose. Also, the sound's going all over the way, and sometimes you miss things. And I think you've constructed a great flutist in you. You have great enthusiasm, but I think you should have more polish. Meaning that sometimes in phrases, you miss notes at the end. Of course, it's a live performance, okay? It's not like you are, making a disc or a recording or something like that. But sometimes you don't go to the end of the phrase, and you kind of maybe you don't have any more air, or the fingers are not working as well. And that's a shame, because I think you have all the potential to play perfectly, really perfectly, if you could maybe just calm down on stage, okay? Not move as much. Because, of course, the ancrage, going into the ground of the floor and getting the support from your diaphragm and your breathing muscles in your body, I think you could align that a little bit better. It seems like in this recording that your shoulders are not in the same axe as your hips and your feet. You're like turning like this, and the recording, it's a shame, because the next time you do that, you should really put your face in front, or the sound coming out in front of the camera, so that we can really see you instead of going this way. And then of course you were dancing, all over the place, which is fun. It's great to be able to play all those notes dancing like that. But each time you came in, it was just a little bit late. So, and I think it's just because you were not stable on the floor, or, setting up to do something. What happens, I would say, like after 50, when you play, all those Fs, are you playing like this fingering with, the fingering here and going like that?
I wasn't using this one.
Okay, because this is very good for that. When you come up like this, when you have this one, you can overblow it and it will bring it down. It will bring the sound down, and it's very solid, and you can, play it very loud. Okay, I'm sure that. Okay, after that, when you have poco quitadendo, be careful not to make false accents, because it's still in tempo. At 50, it keeps in tempo, and you should not slow down, and maybe just a little bit until poco ritardendo. Parce que ritardendo is gradual. It's not ritenuto, which is suddenly. So be careful about that, because it's like, it's like 3 times, you see, and you kind of made a kind of a big break there between, the new movement and the last one. And yes, would you like to play that like there and not make too much of an accent and fill out the sound? Of course, on a recording, it's different, and also on the internet, some things are probably not coming out very well. Would you like to start there and go a little bit? Watch out, when you come here to 52, you should not breathe. Even that, well, you might have to breathe because everybody kind of runs out of breath there. But when you come up to the high, you should not breathe. And the grace note always should be a little bit faster.
Okay.
Okay? You want to try? You want to try just a little bit before 51 and try to fill out the note instead of making accents in between.
Okay.
Okay. And tempo, because you just left your 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. You should still keep the same tempo.
Okay, this is a 3-minute warning.
Oh, really? Okay, please go. And are you playing piano? Are you playing piano there?
I'm trying to.
Okay, yeah, you should because it's going to develop much more after that. Okay, there's just a couple of things there. But if we only have 3 minutes, I want to go to the end of the piece. Why don't we, okay, be careful, because like before 46, you should really play each note. We should hear every note. Every note has its place. And sometimes when you go very, very fast, it gets a little bit, missed. Also at 57, when you have it's like a semi little cadenza, can you try to play that a little bit more artistically? I think you were trying to do that. When you go up to the high B flat, could you start like 2 measures before 57 to get started? And when you come to the, a little bit slower, you went it's the idea you did it a little bit, but not completely. And in fact, there's one place where you can really show something. You're all alone. Do a little bit more artistically. You
Okay.
can go fast in the middle and maybe slow down a little bit more, you know, as you come down from the 30-second notes. But you're pianissimo, and you should not make a crescendo after that.
Okay.
You see, you should really be a little bit noble in your interpretation. Afterwards, you have a beautiful phrase, you know, in which you should play each note. Sometimes it's very beautiful in the beginning, but one measure before 59, you kind of lose the notes. Okay? And I just want, since we have to go a little bit fast, be careful when you do your tremolos. You should not do accents. They should be very clear, you know. And sometimes I feel like you're pushing them. Okay, it's very, very clear. It should be something very beautiful. And if you play with orchestra, we don't hear everything anyway. Should not play with accents. You want to try that a little bit? It's kind of maybe before 44. You go to the end. Any place where you have the tremolo. And really try to fill them up without making an accent. Okay. Yeah, good, good. You kind of explode a little bit, you know, on the rallentando, on the direi. Don't overblow. Just watch out for, we can go to the condenser right away if you like, because
We're about out of time.
we've run out of time. We can't just do the cadenza?
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because,
Okay.
yes, because you're using harmonics, the real harmonics in the cadenza, instead of using something that's a little bit easier. Would you like to do a little bit? Can we?
We can
Sure.
let's do the 4 harmonics and then let's stop.
Okay.
Do you have a different fingering you were going to share there?
Yeah, but what you're doing, like the real fingering, like a real mi, a real E?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's great because they're more in tune. I agree with that. But, you know, when you get to the end of the concerto, you could be very tired, or maybe not. In this case, I would do. It has it's a little bit less in tune, I agree, but it has a more aerial feeling about it, and it's very easy, and you never miss them. Because sometimes people miss that, and it's a shame. You want to try? So on the high E, you would play an A, and then a G flat, and a C flat, and an F.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we usually do in France, but it's easier. And, you know, when you have something difficult like that, sometimes it's good to have something easy to do, especially at the end. On Tuga, it's very good you're playing. I would really work on your embouchure and being a little bit more stable on stage, because that people will listen to you more. Because, you know, sometimes when you're playing, you go like this when you're playing high notes and going down. And that's like being, you know, monkeying the music. You know, look, everybody, I'm going to play high. Look, everybody, I'm going to play low. So there's a lot of things I wanted to say, but I could write them down and send them to you if you like. I'm so sorry. Okay, great. Bravo.
Thank you.
Bravo to you.
So with Juan, we probably shouldn't go the whole way to the end of the piece.
Yeah, because it's very long, but let him play a little bit because it's really nice. It's very interesting what he's doing.
I'm going to go through after the slow section in the second movement. Around there. So
Okay, no, well, what I want to talk, well, I'll talk to him about it afterwards. Sure, we can do that.
okay,
But
so
I want to talk especially about the first movement, but that's, yeah, we can go what you said, and then, you know, I'll go back.
okay. It's a slow section, Dustin. I think it's on page 4. Is that right, Juan? Where does that go? Is it page 4?
Yeah, it should be page 4.
Okay.
Okay, can we start? Okay, let's start because for the first part, you know, it's very expressive. But you're really going really outside the box and, you know, not really playing in a good tempo. The tempo is a little bit too slow. Okay, taking too much liberty. In my opinion, be careful when you start the A, it's very low. Okay. Did you hear that in the recording?
Yeah, I did.
Did you hear that? Yeah, and then we went, okay, that's very difficult. Okay, but sometimes you take too much time to do things and it becomes really almost like patosis. You're going really outside what the composer really wanted. You sometimes you play too slow. In any case, I think that you have a very interesting sound. You have a sound that's really quite amazing with a lot of color, with a lot of harmonics, but it's a little bit too dispersed. You know, we hear a lot of like parasite or extra air sometimes, which is a shame because the real core of your sound is very interesting. It should really work on, you know, getting that excess air or noise around the sound out. Would you like to play? We were going to listen to the page 4, I guess. You know, yeah, I don't know if Dustin can find it on page 4.
I was just suggesting that we don't go past page 4 because of time, but we can.
Okay, sure. Okay. For example, the first page. Okay, the first page of the Polonaise. I'll go very fast. When you have, okay, at 10, the, what do you call it? The gruppetto is a little bit too slow. Yeah. Be careful that gets, you know, in good rhythm. Also, when you come down here, it's really too slow and really too heavy for what the context is in the music. Don't be too heavy on certain things. And of course, when you have the other one, it was a little bit too heavy. And then what happens, you kind of slow the energy in the piece, even though it's a slow movement. Okay, and watch out for your vibrato because sometimes it's very wide when you're coming down. I hear. And that's not a good idea, okay? Because you're losing the momentum in the sound, you're losing your color.
Right.
Okay, a vibrato, yes, but not so wide in places. Okay, afterwards, well, we have the Polonaise, which is absolutely fantastic. Watch out when you have measure 41, when you have this. You're going to slow down, you're going to make a diminuendo, but don't change the idea of tonguing because you changed a different type of tonguing in the same phrase. Those are just little things. Be careful with the taps. It comes down to the Ibert concerto also, where you're playing by 3 notes. When you have a slurred section either by 2 or 3 or 5, the last notes should be a little bit tapered so that the next thing that's coming on will be better attacked. And especially when you have 2 notes of the same level, sometimes the second note is less attacked with a lot of flutists, and they don't, otherwise, good. I think I would, yes, and be careful. Why did you play so slow and measure 148? Because nobody heard the recording yet, but why did you slow down so much? Because you have a very, yeah.
I think my idea was to kind of, after playing like a really fast technical part, to kind of like bring a little more freedom to like that short little cadenza.
Okay, but you know, this is what happens with a lot of young flutists. They take too much liberty. And sometimes, okay, this is like a bel canto, it's a little bit free in some places, but don't go overboard. Because if you're playing for a jury, the jury won't understand why you did that, because it's not written. Okay, maybe you can do a little bit of something. I mean, Emmanuel Pahu, you know, and he said, it's very, very true. When in international competitions, you have fantastic talent coming and people are playing very well, but they don't follow the score. So if you follow the score, already you have a very good interpretation. Never forget that. And you can add a little bit of this and that, but not too much, because that can make people vote against you if you're competing somewhere. But the audience will love it. Whatever you do, I'm sure. But the thing I heard sometimes is that when you play, you're like you're pushing sometimes. And I think you push for expression. Okay, and that's not good, because that's a faux accent. I mean, it's an accent. And I too would like to see your embouchure close up and see what's going on. But don't forget that technique is also the sound. Okay, it's not just moving your fingers, and you move them very well, fantastically. But sometimes, of course, it's very difficult there. In the medium register, there's a lot of air coming out, and it's not clean. So it's not really technical, because there's no sound, there's no correct sound, okay? But I don't know, we can hear a little bit more of your playing on the tape. That would be nice, okay? Dustin, if you want to play someplace on his recording. So Lau, I said things before you played it, but did you hear the difference? I mean, did you hear what I was talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the appoggiaturas and the like grace notes. I think
Yeah.
they're too
Mm.
slow, so it kind of makes the piece stuck, I think.
Yeah, a little bit stuck because it would really be great if you played a little bit, you know, going forward. I don't know. Do we have any time to listen to some more or not?
We have like maybe 3 minutes if you want to work with
Oh,
one at
okay.
all.
Okay, great. So watch out when some things are kind of difficult in this piece, right? When you come down, but not really. So it's just some things. When you have here, you have no more air left, and kind of like dipped in. Do you understand? What's before 2:30? Can you want to do that between? So I think it's great what you're doing, but you have to be a little bit more in exactitude. Really look for the small little thing that's going to, you know, turn somebody to a, you know, I'm talking about voting, okay, and concours and things like that, because you do juries all the time. But voila, you want to start from here, maybe, this is kind of, yeah, this is tough. Would you like to do this one? Because that's tough.
Okay.
That was great. You did the whole thing in one breath. Just be careful in the end. Save all your air for the end. Okay? Okay. Okay, good. Were you playing the real fingerings or special fingerings?
I was going with the real fingerings because the harmonics sound a little too out of tune there.
Yeah, okay. But they don't kind of work too well. So I would suggest doing a couple of trill fingerings, but just a few. If you do two harmonics, no, it doesn't sound good. But maybe when you're on F sharp to E, well, this is very easy. And then after the F sharp, you take off your thumb. So you already have a G. And then you go, you know, little things like that can help. I don't know if you want to try it now, but experiment with some alternate fingerings. Okay,
Yeah.
especially there, because it's not, okay, afterwards, you want to keep going just at 2:30, measure 2:30, the next page.
Okay.
Okay, it's a little bit too busy. It's a little bit too busy. There's too much air going around, and you're not really quite precise with the petite notes. What do you call it? The grace notes. Can you make that a little bit tighter and not play with more pressure but less air?
We're about out of
Is that a
time,
tonguey?
so we'll
Okay.
just have to finish this up. Yeah.
Okay, so just this phrase, okay? Oh. Okay, that's great, but you're in a tight, you know, atmosphere. It's great, the notes, but when you go down to low F sharp, it becomes fluffy. So keep the same color of sound. It would be great. Just one more time, okay? Make sure that your embouchure is very focused. Okay, good. And don't forget, since we have to finish up, when you have vibrato on very complicated things, it just doesn't work, okay? So sometimes when it's complicated, leave the vibrato, you know, not too, you know, revelating, because it kind of messes up what the listener is listening to. It's not neat. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, but I congratulate you. Have a great sound. A beautiful timbre, but you have to like make it more focused, okay?
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, great. Great. So nice to hear you. But Juan Carlos. And Ethan too. Great students.
Those beautiful, insightful comments.
Oh, thank you.
So much. And yeah, if you want to email me those notes that you have, Patricia, if there were any that you finished talking about, I know that Juan and Ethan would really appreciate that.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to have said much more, but we don't have any time. I don't know why.
Painful. It's very painful.
Time is money, as they say.
But I know that this portion of our class is really exciting for the students.
Do you want to hear it? I'm on headphones.
Hearing the teachers, the masters speak about their life experiences, and we were all where you are, right? At one point we were all 19 and 20 and 25 and 30 and 30, whatever, and So I was wondering if you could start by speaking a little bit about your journey. I'm sure you all recognize the beautiful French accent, but do you know that Patricia is actually American, born and raised, but has lived so long in France that she has a French accent, right? We can all hope for something with that one day. So if you could just talk a little bit about your life journey in terms of the food and your teachers, and then we can kind of move into like working in Europe and whatever questions the students have.
Okay, great. Well, somebody said to me about, when I'm 19 or, people I study, you ask yourself, oh, how am I going to become professional? What's out there for me? Is there a job for me? What do I have to learn? And, etc. And somebody, a very famous professional musician said to me, if you want to make it here, meaning America, I was in Boston, if you want to make it here, you have to go to Europe. That was so fantastic because it just put something in my head, and from there I met wonderful teacher Norman D, who was from Juilliard. He told me about the Masterclass with Jean-Pierre Rampal and Maxence Larieux, and so I went there just for the summer, and it was such an eye-opening. The first time I heard Maxence Larieux play, I couldn't believe it. I thought I fell on the floor. With the sound, the technique, and the elegance of the French way of playing and also being, which I thought I was completely addicted to wanting to go back to Europe. So I came and finished a degree in Boston. And then I went for another masterclass, with Rampal, Maxence, and I kind of like ran away from home. I was supposed to do a master's at New England Conservatory, and I stayed in Europe because I wanted to study with those great teachers, even though probably it was wonderful at New England Conservatory as well. But it was so strong. And from there, things just started, you study, you even, what do you call it, do little gigs, playing with orchestras. And already after, university or conservatoire, you're at a certain level where you're almost professional, but not quite. You have the tools, and little by little, things just kind of unfolded. Somebody called up, they needed a flutist for a principal flute to play all the 9 symphonies of Beethoven in Toulouse, and so they just sent me there. And that was like kind of a beginning of a professional job, and then of course concours and meeting people, and I don't know, what would you like to know?
Yeah, well, why don't we open it up for questions? Do we have, sure. We have questions.
No question.
You go first.
So my question is, what is the first kind of organizational part that you have to figure out before you go, I'm gonna move to this place, to especially moving abroad, to set up and yes. Try to grow your professional career?
Yes, well, before you come here, I suggest really to come here during the summer and take a masterclass stage. They call them stage here. They have them all over France, and you meet wonderful different teachers, and you have the choice of 300 things. But especially at my school, L'École Normale, the Musique de Paris, Alfred Cortot, is a wonderful school because all you have to do is write your inscription over line and send in a few video recordings, like either YouTube or just 2, I think, or 2 or 3, and then you're accepted. And then when you come here, you get inscribed with the paperwork and everything at the school, and then you will go do a little audition where they put you in the level where they know you will succeed, because there are 6 different levels, and at the 4th, 5th, and 6th level, they're separated in 2. And the concours is quite difficult. So they want to make sure that you have everything you already need to be able to pass the concours successfully. Because when you do your concours, it's not like doing a jury maybe at school or your senior recital. It's a real concours. You have to get up there and play a recital. The works, you might have like 40 or 50 minutes of music, are very difficult things. For example, you might have a Baroque sonata or a Bach, unaccompanied sonata or concerto. You'll have a romantic piece, by Mignon, Taffanel, or Die Freischütz, or you'll have Reinecke, or the Grande Polonaise, the Böhm is a big piece too. And then you'll have Duthier, Sancan, Chandelines. You will have concerto of Jolivet. You will have all the French music and also other music and contemporary music as well. And this is your concours, and the jury is there, and they'll just say, well, we want to hear this, we want to hear that. And you won't play your whole program maybe. And they might stop you to hear something else. It's like zapping maybe on the television, I don't know. So it's quite difficult, it's quite stressful, but it really prepares you for what will come for you in your career, because when you go audition for an orchestra, that's what they do. They'll listen to just the exposition of Mozart, and then I'll take this excerpt, that excerpt, and you really have to be ready. Okay, but there's a lot of training before that. I'm just going about what happens at l'école. There's an awful lot of training. For example, somebody at the conservatory, high school level at the conservatory of like the 15th arrondissement, but they have great teachers, but they'll have a sight reading to do, and this is what they'll have to do. The exam will be like a score, and they'll start and they'll have to sight sing the melody, and they go to the alto part, they'll go to the trombone part, and they have to switch all over, and they'll have to be able to hear what they're singing with transposed instruments, and that's at high school level. So I think the training here is quite excellent. At l'École Normale, we have classes in history, analysts, some chamber music, but it's really geared for professional playing and performance at a very high level. So I don't know if that answers anything.
That's helpful. Ethan, Dustin, Lydia, those of you who have talked about maybe traveling and studying abroad, questions? Dustin, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did. I know in last week's masterclass, Professor Jones-Roos talked about when she studied abroad in Germany, and that she couldn't play Mozart the same way she had in the States. And so I'm wondering, with your experience in the States and France, what do you think are the big differences in the French style, maybe, than the American style of flute playing?
Yeah, there's a big difference in styles here, or Europe. Okay, in France we do a little bit different Mozart, but mostly it's really European. I can't even speak English anymore, sorry. It's very much in the style, in the taste, and also scales, the scales of Mozart, okay? A lot of people were like, when you have all that type of articulation, there's a lot of training going on where we play in the style of Mozart, which would be, you have a lot of two slurred and two tongued, in all his concerti. And you would attack well. The second note is a little bit less, and then the next one. And it would be very precise. So everything is very clean, and it sounds ridiculous when you play slow. I agree. It sounds like too much. And you say, what? You know, how can I play like that? But if you practice it slowly and get everything done, when you go play a tempo like 120 or 126, the concerto, it sounds amazingly clean, okay? Usually when we study Mozart here, we spend a lot of time on the style, these attack, of course, the appoggiature, which are very, very special. We use mostly Baroque appoggiature, because at the time Mozart used the Baroque, what do you call it, style of appoggiature and trills and things like that. But it must be much more clean, much more spirited. There's a lot of expression. There's a lot of, in France, we do a little bit more of diminuendo in some phrases, which add a little bit of charm to it, but not too much. It's really so quite different because I teach Americans, I teach Chinese people, Korean people from all over the place, people from Brazil. And when they come, they have an auto concept of playing, but you cannot play like that in Europe. And I think it's a great way to come to France to study in Europe, because if you want to take international concours, you know what they want to hear, because the jury are people who studied the same places in Europe, and they know what's going on. And in fact, they know what's the best style and the best taste, because music also is a taste. It's a reflection on your refinement, also on your personality and your perseverance and the control of yourself, because sometimes people play very well, but they'll go very, very fast and they won't be able to control into the end. So it's quite special, and it's very important to study that while you're so young, and if you want to become professional.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you. That was very helpful.
Ethan?
Hi, I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit on how school works specifically in France, not just your school, but maybe the Conservatoire de Paris as well, as opposed to here in the United States.
Well, the Conservatoire de Paris is a little bit more organized in the courses, where you have an assistant that will help you, and you have courses, maybe 4 or 5 courses for different things. You have to have credits. You can also take piano like you do in America, but it's mostly on performance, where the class is open and everybody plays in front of each other. And there's a lot of discussion, and also well, of course, you can find yourself also alone with the teacher, but you have the assistant that really helps you with the technique and prepares your class. And it's a wonderful place, but you have to be very careful. Like if you wanted to go to the Paris Conservatory, there's an age limit, and it's only until 21. So inscriptions, you should, if people want to take this concours, you must have an inscription a year before, because way in advance. Okay, I know a student that's going to present, but it's like about 9 months ahead of time you have to be inscribed. You have a certain program, and you already know that piece. But maybe 3 weeks before you play, they'll give you another piece that's very difficult, that is not very well known. Like one year, they had, for example, they can give you an Assaise de Jolivet, or the Hindemith, the Achtstück, something like that. And then the second piece will be like the concerto, the concertino de Tomasi and E. So nobody has the partition. It's very difficult to get. Sometimes that happens for people living outside Paris, and even in Paris it was out of print. Nobody had it, so everybody was going all over the world to get this piece, to learn during 3 weeks they have to present this piece, and it has to be perfect. So, I mean, that's like to get into the Paris Conservatory. Then you have air training classes, and you have solfège, or, orchestra classes. And then France started to align itself with America with, the bachelor's, the BLD, bachelor's, master's, and doctorate. And what happened is that it's not the same system. And so the Paris Conservatory had to, start asking the students to go take classes at the university where you have extra, don't you have other, courses that are not musical? And so people were going crazy. I said this before, I think people were going crazy because they said, we cannot practice enough because the level is so high there and so much expected that when you're in classes, you have no time to practice. Do you understand? Yeah, okay. So it's a little bit different, but it's more geared to playing. Yeah, it's a great school as well.
And at your school, Patricia, so a student would audition, and then they would be assigned to a level.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of every year, they would take their jury, what we call a jury, but it would be like a barrier, more of like a proficiency barrier exam is probably the word we would use today. And then they would be passed to the next level, correct? And
yes, but the problem with that is that the jury comes from outside. They don't know the students. They have never seen the student. So it's completely fair. So when you have a jury at your school, I'm sure it's the same people in your school that are on the jury. Yeah.
Right. In fact, when I was there, we watched the harp jury together. Do you remember?
Yes. That's
so
fun.
beautiful. That harpist. Oh my gosh, she was amazing. But so what can you tell us how many like actual levels, and is there an age limit for coming in and leaving, and how many of those levels are they, and like what kinds of pieces, like where would the DTU fall in?
Okay. So there's like 3 major levels. It's the 4th level, 5th, and 6th, because the first 3 are very very low in performance. So the 4th level, you would be playing things like not too difficult pieces. You would be playing maybe Bach sonatas. You'd be playing Donizetti sonata. You would be playing maybe Mio. You might be playing pop things. It's really like preparatory. But when you get to the 5th level, already courses are very you'd be playing Ibert. Okay, you'll be playing the first movement of Ibert, you'll be playing Reinecker concerto, you'll be playing Fantasy of et la Ballade of Gaubert and the Fantasy of Fauré. You will be playing, modern pieces also as well. But Duthier would probably fall in the category of either 6th level. And of course, from there on, you can hear Duthier even after, because at 6th level, you have 6th level enseignement, and then 6th level execution, which is compared to a master's degree. And then you have concertiste, which is compared, in some countries, it's considered a doctorate. And so L'École Normale, they opened up a master's degree just this past year. It's great. Once you get there, you should be in the 6th level as well. And then you do 2 years. You have some classes for 1 day a week. You do classes outside. The rest is at the school, and it's only 4,600 euros a year, the school. So that's pretty good compared to American prices.
Yeah, because our master's is, I think, $28,000 a year. So.
and this is considered very expensive for France, because most schools are less expensive. But it's great for Americans who want to get their master's, but do not want to get into debt, into further debt, student debt. And plus, it gives them much more, ouverture on other societies, other cultures, and they learn really what's expected of them internationally. Because once you play, you know how to play something well in France, you can go anywhere and it'll be very much appreciated. You can go back to the United States and people will hear the sound and the articulation and things that maybe you cannot get in America. I don't know. It depends on the class. It depends on who the teacher is, you know, and what their, you know, formation was. You have a solid experience so that when you go play an audition, you have something extra. You have something extra to give that make people notice you when you're at an audition where there's 120 people.
Are there age limits for those levels?
Okay. No, there's no age limit at the school, which is great, which is really great. And it's really wonderful because there's some people that come later on in life and they get a degree, which is very important to have a degree these days. Anyway, at least, you know, a piece of paper gives you an opening to so many other places. You know, when you have that paper.
Let's say you go to the Paris Conservatory, for example, and get, or another school and get a certain level. Can you switch over? I think we talked about this last time when I was there, but can you go to another school and restart and keep studying? Or if you get your enseignement.
Okay. Do you want to go to a different school afterwards?
Yeah,
yes, but it's not the same. It's not the same diploma. Okay, it depends. They have a lot of conservatories here, but most of the conservatories, for example, kids start the conservatory like 3 years old. They can, and but in most of the conservatories, they're municipal. Okay, and then you go up to a degree, which is like a musical degree, which is like, you know, the end of high school, the beginning of college. But then you have other conservatories that they call CRD and CRR, and they are very highly regarded. They're a much stronger conservatory, and it's considered a better place because it's just very well known. Only the best students go there, but it's still considered a little bit higher. But I can't really say exactly. You have your DRM, which is Diplôme en Enseignement Musical, no, Diplôme Études Musicales. But that doesn't really open many doors. It opens the door to go to better conservatories after that. With that diploma, you can apply to the Paris Superior Conservatory.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, but some people can never get there because of the age limit, but they go to other conservatories. They get some diplomas, but it's not the same. It's not a national diploma. Okay?
Yeah, that's helpful. Okay, we have time for maybe one more question. Looks like Juan is the person.
Cool.
So you mentioned something really interesting about when you're talking about levels and repertoire. How's the approach to repertoire? Because typically here in a semester, we'll do maybe 3 or 4 pieces, but I've heard about like going into every lesson with a different piece prepared.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, usually we have a program, you know, a program with all the, I have Nina's book, we do that book, but we have, you know, all the extra etudes, a few etudes a week. We have extra, what do you call it, orchestral excerpts and tone and everything. But as far as repertoire, we're working on one piece, but we always have something coming afterwards. So I have students now working on, like they've just started school a few weeks ago, and they're already working on 2 or 3 different pieces. And what I like to do is like do the best for one certain piece, not stay too long, maybe 2 weeks or 3, even though it's not perfect, unless it's a concours. They're preparing for a concours. There's a concours coming up on the 6th of December. You can all enter it, by the way, and do it online. But it's called the Les Clés d'Or. But so afterwards, we move to another piece. And also we vary the style. Like we might be doing, you know, something modern and also something, you know, like Baroque or classic at the same time. But I don't like to spend, and it's a very good idea not to spend too much time, unless it's for a jury maybe, okay, or a concert. But to change that people have a little bit more, you know, they know what's going on stylistically, because not every epoch is the same style as well, because changing this and that. And it's very good to take out like a Incantation de Jolivet with the rhythm. And that's very difficult for students, you know, to hold on to and things like that. And also a French piece, the typically, you know, French concours pieces. And Michel Debost, who was my teacher, and he said, and it's very true, if you know how to play those pieces, you know, like Fauré, Gobert, you know, all those, Busser, if you know how to play those pieces, you know how to play the flute. You know very well how to play the flute because everything is in there. It's the color, it's the innuendos, the diminuendos, the technique and the style, and also putting across a beautiful piece. For that, well, of course, you know, it's very dated, and for you guys, it's very dated, but it's quite refined, and it can be very elegant, and it's very good to go through that type of music as well. And of course, we don't forget Feld Concerto and the Feld Sonata, and Musinski, and Prokofiev, and you know, all the other, yeah, Jacques Ibert, Lieberman. We don't play too much Lieberman, but we play the sonata of Lieberman, which is very, very beautiful. And I know I presented a student for Concerti. She played Lieberman Concerto. And some, I won't say any names, but some great flutist from Germany came to the jury. He said, I don't like that piece. It's not, he thought it sounded like you know, Hollywood music. So it was very funny.
I think Lieberman does sound a little bit like movie music, but it's beautiful. You can't deny
it. Absolutely,
it's
yeah.
also very difficult. So
yeah, I know. So I was not very happy with his his comment. But
I have one question, and hopefully we can just do it in 2 minutes. So for contemporary music with extended techniques, in my experience when I was studying in Germany and in my travels, you know, there's sort of a dichotomy. There are the teachers and the performers who specialize in that, and then there are the teachers and the performers who don't and are traditional. So at your school or at even the conservatory, do they send students who are learning contemporary pieces with extended techniques to a specific teacher to study them, or are all of you sort of required to teach those works?
we all know it, because from the grade school, you know, when you're conservatory at 10 or 11, you play contemporary pieces, you know how to play. And of course we teach them, and we're constantly on concours. We always have these pieces and we play them all the time. And I have students playing this and that, so I'll brush up on it, you know, and I go back, and because I don't always play this music every day, but no, we all know how to play it.
And I think France has such a tradition, especially with the saxophone.
Yeah.
There's so many people who've gone to France to study, you know.
It's a great school. Yeah, it's a great school, like the flute as well. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I think in Germany it's different though. In Germany, the flutists tend to be either more traditional or they tend to be contemporary music
Okay.
specialists, you know, or they specialize in contemporary music but can teach. But anyway, I was curious about that because I know that tradition is so many great composers in France and such a tradition of like.
Well, you know, it comes from the concours, the Premier Prix du Conservatoire. Each year, they asked a very famous composer to write a piece for the flute. It had to have this and that, you know. And then they got more contemporary, and they changed a little bit afterwards. And each concours, people present contemporary pieces all the time. And in our cursus, we must play one contemporary piece in the higher levels at our concours. It's great. There's great pieces out there.
Yeah, that's really nice to hear.
Yeah, wonderful.
Is it a quick question, Jacob?
I was just curious as to like what contemporary pieces were being played, you know.
Well, today I was working on Steamy Punk with a student, and the composer is Régis Campo, who was just nominated l'École Normale. He's quite well known. We play Delgado. Okay, you know the Delgado piece. We play this is very old-fashioned. It's the sequenza of Berio. We play Bob, what's his name? We play plain song. Plain song.
Robert
Yeah.
Aiken.
Yeah, Robert Aitken, sorry. And we play, well, I see that you've been playing Rapid Fire. Nina, that's fantastic. It's a fantastic piece. But we haven't played that. I think we should schedule to play that. That's great. Cassandra's Dream Song we play. There's so many Hanani. I don't know. so many. Oh, Will Offerman's.
What was the first piece? Steamy Punk?
Yeah, that's right out, and I'll send it to you if you like.
Please, yeah. Any of that new music that's going on, send it to us. And also the name of the concours you were just talking about, if you could send me, I'll pass it along to the students.
Yes. Well, listen, you have the chance to pass a concours, to do a concours in France on the 6th of December. Because of COVID, it might be on recording only. Okay? We don't know, because France might be coming out of confinement on the 1st of December, but we don't know. But I'll send you the link. All you have to do is present one piece, one video. And the jury will, judge, and maybe you might win first prize, or, or they have second prize too.
Thank you for your beautiful time and your
you're welcome.
mastery and sharing your
thank you.
thoughts and your experience with our students. And thank you, Ethan and Juan, for putting your pieces together in class.
Yeah, beautiful students you have. Great.
Thank you. And so we'll see everybody, and I will forward those links, okay, when she sends them, if you want to do the competition. And for those of you who are visiting, this is our last one, Dustin, right, of the semester, I think.
Yes.
But we'll have more next semester, and check our Facebook page out. We have, I think, the links from the different recitals up, and we'll probably post these master classes too at some point, so that they're available to view. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, Patricia.
Yeah, it was lovely to be here, or be there.
It was great. Okay, take care.
See you soon. Okay. Bye-bye.